Now let's try to add exception handling to our password manager. So if you look at the code here in this part, we are opening the JSON file in the read mode, which means initially we are loading the data in the JSON format, updating the data and again dumping the data. So there will be a problem with this code. So the problem with this code might be when this data.json is not initially created. So when you open this program and do it from the scratch, initially data.json will not be created, but you are trying to open it in the read mode, which is going to create an exception. So let's try to delete the file data.json. Delete data.txt also, that is not required. Now we have deleted the file data.json and let's try to now run the program and add a website. Now when a new website is added, then the data is going to be loaded from JSON file and these details are going to be updated and then dumping is happening. Now if I try to add it, you can see that there is an error. The error is file not found. So the file does not exist. So this is an exception which we want to handle here. Okay, let's handle it. So wherever we are trying to open it, we are going to add try. Move the comments also, it will be easy. So we are trying to open the file and when there is an exception, let's catch it using except file not found error. That is what we are trying to handle. If it is not already present, we are going to create the data file, that JSON file. So if it is not already present, we will create it by opening it in the write mode. And we will directly dump the data which user has entered for the first time. We don't have to update anything. It is the first time it is happening, so we are directly going to dump the data. So new data is created. If you remember, go up here. New data is created here, which means from the user, whatever user has entered for the first time, a dictionary is created, and this dictionary is going to be added into the JSON file directly. So we are directly dumping it. If there is no exception and we are putting indent equal to 4 for readability, and if there is no exception, which means the file already exists, then we have to update it. Then we have to update it and write it. If the file already exists, then we are opening the file for writing and we are dumping the data. And anyway, whether the exception has occurred or not, we should always delete the entries. Password entry and website entry, we have to delete it, so we are putting it in the finally. I hope you understood this. See, there is a chance of getting an exception here. There is a chance of getting an exception here. For that reason, we are putting it in the try. And if there is an exception, we are creating the file and we are directly writing one entry into the file. And if there is no exception, it means the file already exists and already entries are present there. Therefore, we are updating the entries, updating the JSON file, and we are dumping it. Okay. And finally, we are going to erase website entry and password entry. Okay. Thank you. Let's now see the output ones. Let's delete the file. Delete the JSON file. I think it is already deleted. Yeah, it is already deleted. Now let's try to enter some details for a website. Now if I add it, it is created. Let's open the JSON file and see it. Amazon details have been added. Data.json, you can see that, and Amazon details are added. So when you are entering it for the first time, when you are entering the website details for the first time, then now the our code does not crash. Otherwise, if you don't handle the exception, our code is crashing when you are entering details for the first time. Okay, thank you. Hi, now we want to add a search functionality to our password manager. See, every time if you have to search for a password of a website, it will not be good if you have to open the data file, that JSON file, and if you have to go through it and then find out the password. Instead of that, we want to add a functionality where our program will show the password of the website that you are looking for. What I mean to say is, so we want to design something like this where user can enter a website and click on search. Then for that website, whatever is the email ID and the password should come in the pop-up box. For example, we have already added two websites in the data.json file. For example, if I am searching for Amazon and if I click on search, it is going to show email ID for Amazon is this and password is this, right? And also, if user tries to enter the website name which does not exist in our database, then it should show a pop-up saying that the data doesn't exist, right? So if I say Twitter is not available in our database, if I try to search for it, it is saying no details for Twitter exists, and the title of this dialog box is error. Okay, so basically we are going to create message boxes like that. So now how we are going to approach this problem is, first we will try to create the GUI with this search button, and after search button is created, we will add a command to the search button to search in our database, and that command, the method or the function that we are passing to that command is going to search in the database for a particular website, and if it is present, it is going to give the details. If it is not present, it is going to show in the data message box that the details are not available. Okay, so let's try to add this search button first. So show the output one more time. So if you observe it, the search button is added in the same column as generate password and in the same row as the website entry. So this website entry row and the generate password column, it is added in the same row and same column. You can draw the grid layout, then you can get the column number and row number, then you can add it appropriately. Okay, so designing GUI is all about trial and errors. You have to tinker with the numbers. Now let's try to add the search button. Search button is a button and it is going to have the text as search. And we have to place it on the grid. Search button dot grid. Row and column numbers, you have to look at the grid layout and understand it. So row is 1 and column is 2. So let's try to run it and see if search button is added. Yeah, search button is added, but the website entry box is actually spanning for 2 columns, and that is why it looks like both are overlapping. Let's try to change the column span of website entry to 1. Website entry column span is now made to 1. We are deleting it. Now let's try to run it. It is fine, but our grid layout has actually gotten out of the shape. So because the width of this particular website entry is actually too long to fit in a column, and that is why it is pushing everything away. So everything has been pushed away. Let's try to decrease the width of this website entry. You have to play with these numbers. There is no right answer. So we are using website entry width as 32. Now it looks good, but the problem is search button is actually looking smaller compared to generate password button. So let's try to increase the size of search. So the width of the search button, let's give it some 13 or 14. This is all about playing with the numbers. Don't worry if you are not able to get it right for the first time, you have to experiment with this. So finally we got it right. So this is the layout we wanted. There is search button, there is website entry, there is email entry, password entry, generate password button, add button, everything is in place. Okay. Now let's try to add the functionality. So to the search button, we will use the command to tie it with a function so that that function will be called whenever someone clicks on the search button. Let's call the function as find password function. Or we can also use search as the name. Any name is fine. So find password is fine. Now let's try to write the find password method. So we are going to write the find password function. Now, whatever user has entered in the website entry, we are going to get it first. So from the website entry, we are doing get to get the website name, and using that name, we are going to search in our database. We are going to open up our JSON file in the read mode. And we are going to load the data. Let's load it into something called as data. Let's print the data for the first time and see it. So let's run it. We have added functionality to search button. So in our JSON data, there is Amazon website details are already there. Open the JSON file once. In our JSON file, Amazon website details are already there. So let's try to search for Amazon. Now you can see that we got the Amazon details printed. Now what we want is, we want to take this email ID and the password and show it in a pop-up. So how are you going to see this is, it is a nested dictionary. Okay, so for the outside, the key is the website name. For the inside dictionary, the key is email ID, email and password. These two strings, email and password. So we are going to use this nested dictionary to access these values. Okay. So now delete that print statement. And access the email and password. If the website that the user has entered is present in our data, if the website is data, so we are going to use all the methods of dictionary here. In is present in dictionary. If the website in data means if the website details or the website name is present inside the data, then we are going to take the email ID and the password. Email is equal to inside the data, which means inside this, first we have to catch hold of the value of Amazon. We have to catch hold of this entire inner dictionary. For that we are going to write website, which is going to catch hold of this inside dictionary. In the inside dictionary, we want to take the email entry. Email entry, which is the key, its value is the email. Okay. And similarly, for the password also, we will do the same thing. Password. Okay. By writing like this, since it is a nested dictionary, we are going to use these two indices. Okay. Now we are able to get the email ID and the password. Now let's try to create a message box and show it in the message box. message box is a show info message box. So in this message box, the title is going to be the website name, and the message is going to be the email ID and the password, which is going to be an F string. In the F string, we are going to give what is the email ID and what is the password in a new line. Now let's run it. Now let us say Amazon is already there in our database. So let's give Amazon and give search. Now it is showing email ID and the password of Amazon on this email ID and password. Okay. Now there will be a small problem here. Again, we are opening the data file in the read mode. If it is not already present in our if it is the first time we are opening it, and if this data file is not present in the JSON file, then it will give an exception. For example, let's try to delete the JSON file, data.json, and now run it and search for Amazon. Then you are going to get file not found error. Therefore, this is an exception which you are going to handle again. Okay, just like how we have handled earlier, we are going to handle here. We are going to use a try block. Within the try block, we are going to place that file opening lines, and if there is an exception, then we are going to show the user that the data does not exist in a message box. Title is error and the message is no data file. No data file found. Okay. If there is no exception, then we are going to search in the website for the website. Okay. Let's now see it. Right, execute it and see it. Delete the JSON file. Is already deleted, right? There is no JSON file as of now. Now we are trying to search for Amazon. The data file is not yet created. It is saying no data file found. Therefore, our program is not crashing. It is giving a message gracefully, which is actually important. It is not good if your program crashes if you give it to a client. Okay, so we have to handle them like this so that user will understand in simple words what has happened. Okay. Now we are adding few entries. Now JSON has Amazon and Twitter. Now let's try to give a website, Facebook, which does not exist in our database. Then let's see what happens. Actually, nothing is happening. Why is it so? Let's go to the code. In our code, if you observe it, if the website is present in the data, then we are actually getting its details and displaying. If the website is not present in the data, we are not actually doing anything. We have to show the user a dialog box here also saying that the website details doesn't exist. So for this if condition, we can place an else. Else means when will this else be hit? when the website is not present in the data. So in that case, we are going to show a message to the user using message box show info. Title is error, and the message, you can show that that particular website details are not available. Okay. So whatever website that user has entered, no details for that website. No details for that website exists. So now let's try to give a website which is not in our database, the Facebook, and search it. Now you can see that no details for the Facebook exists. So one thing that you have to understand here is, here also you could use an exception handling when the data is not present inside our, when the website is not present inside our data. There also you could use an exception, you could raise an exception and use it. But the problem is, whenever something can be done using if and else, it is not good to use exceptions. That is, use exceptions only if it cannot be handled with if and else. So, and the second thing is, it is not a frequently occurring condition. Users searching for something which is not in the database is not frequently occurring condition. It might happen only sometimes. So therefore, you can go with if else. Okay. Thank you.